I'm Jennifer Johnson, and I raise sheep for their wool. It is winter here in western New York State. It's been a mild winter, very few days in single digits, and a lot more rain than snow. We're past the winter solstice, but the days are still short. Breeding season has concluded here on the farm, so all of the ewes are back in the barn with the main flock. We're now up to 62 ewes. A little more than we like to overwinter, but still a manageable number. On this winter morning, they are barely tolerating my inability to open wide the frozen stuck doors. They are ready for breakfast I've laid out for them outside, as I do every day. The ice made the door stick, slowing their flow and upsetting their routine. No worries, even though this isn't the routine, they eagerly flow around me as I struggle with the doors. These stragglers are thrown off by being left behind and by the apparently scary doors not being all the way open. But they figure it out and have been absorbed by the flock, all enjoying their breakfast of grassy, second-cutting hay. The rams we used for breeding are back together in their winter paddock. We will overwinter them and harvest their wool for our comb top. But other than that, their job on the farm is complete, and they get to hang out for the next 12 months until we set up breeding groups next year. The next few months are the quietest months on the farm, no deadlines or major projects. Harry and Duncan seem to be waiting for Sebastian's permission to approach the pile of hay. Sebastian, the one with the skurs, or short horns, has taken the position of dominant alpha ram in the group. Fully insulated by his wool, Sebastian is oblivious to the snow that has accumulated on his back. Maybe he likes to sleep outside of the 3-walled shelter we've provided, unprotected under the winter night sky. The sheep love the cold winter months much more than the scorching hot days in the summer. Come April, we will be welcoming newborn lambs to the farm, and so we're in wait-and-see mode. We will start harvesting fleeces in early March, but until then, the pace slows way down, and we can devote our time to easygoing projects that don't have hard deadlines. We spent a lot of time talking about the ewes in our flock. This video is going to be about the rams that we selected for breeding in 2023 for 2024 spring lambs. I'm going to talk about how we selected the rams and what makes the ones we picked really special. I visualize our selection process for rams like a pyramid. So you've got the full stock of rams that we have in the flock at the bottom of the pyramid, and as we add requirements and criteria, rams keep on falling off until you get to the tip of the pyramid with the very top level qualifying rams. The first level is the base of the pyramid, which are the minimum requirements a ram must meet in order to even be considered for breeding. For us, those are conformity to the breed standard, a superfine fleece, and good health. Last fall, we had 9 rams to evaluate, and were able to narrow that number down to 3 rams that we ended up using for breeding. So let's talk about those requirements. The first one, the conformity to the breed standard, is fairly easy. The NASA standard is not difficult to meet, and most of the criteria are really basic. As long as he has a fluke tail and no faults, he'll meet the criteria. The superfine fleece is another one for us that's not very difficult, as we have been selecting for this trait for a long time, and we don't have any breeding stock now that would produce lambs with fleeces with a spinning fineness of more than 20 microns. This is because we have selected for superfine fleeces for so many generations that the likelihood of a coarse-fleeced lamb is very unlikely. We talk about interpreting micron data in another video on this channel, but in a nutshell, the lower number, the softer the fiber. And 20 microns is soft enough to wear against the skin. It is similar to the feel of cashmere. And now let's just pause and enjoy watching these lambs from the spring of 2022. Here is our combined micron report from last year, and you can see our average spinning fineness for the entire flock was 19.9 microns. The last time we brought new sheep into the farm was in 2020, and here the two ewes are. Rosemary is the white ewe and Locala is the black ewe. When we introduce new sheep to the flock, we have to watch their impact on fineness really carefully each year as they produce lambs for us. In general, we purchase only from fine fleece breeders to eliminate the risk of getting lambs with coarse fleeces. Both of these ewes gave us very nice lambs that produce the types of fleeces that we are after. These 6 deer lambs from 2023 were the result of artificially inseminating our ewes with semen that we imported from the UK. Here is another example where we are going to monitor their fleeces and their future offspring fleeces to make sure that they meet our standard for fineness and crimp, and that they retain that fineness into maturity. Falstaff was the only ram we had last year that didn't make the cut for a superfine fleece, so he was out of the running. Good health is another criteria at the very base of the pyramid. Good health covers a lot of area. Is he fit? Do we need to deworm him frequently? Very fortunately, we are blessed with healthy, vigorous rams. The second level of the pyramid can vary from year to year. This year, it's about fleece yields and solid frame. These requirements are more personal goals for the farm. After critically evaluating the rams on the farm, we weeded out 3 rams from the selection pool based on fleece density and frame. I talk about high-yield fleeces in another video, but in a nutshell, I'm looking for more fiber for hand spinners to enjoy per sheep. This means the sheep that have denser fleeces, longer staple length, and longer bodies, like Lucretia here, showing excellent form on the garbage-picked playground equipment. All 3 of the rams we selected this year have really nice long bodies, as you can see them posing for the camera on this sunny winter day. Here, they look like they're laughing at a funny joke, but actually, this is called the Fleeman response, and this is what they do when they catch a scent that is interesting, usually of the female variety. It could have drifted over from the ewe pasture, or it could be coming off of the gear I'm wearing, which is loaded with smells of the female sheep on our farm. And solid frame, which means the sheep has very straight legs, broad backsides, and full chests. We aren't breeding for sheep that look like bulldogs, but we do want to retain the elegance and nimble quality, so proportions are important. We think this is an area for a lot of growth in our flock. We've spent a lot of time fine-tuning fleece quality and are now hoping we can steer the ship a little more toward a focus on the frame while retaining all the gains we've made in fleece quality. To make that final ram selection at the top of the pyramid requires that we have our ewes already selected, because the main criteria on the 3rd level is relatedness to the ewes we want to breed. Based on the ewes we selected, we had to pick rams that were not related. Then once we weed out rams with too much relatedness to the ewes, it's about very fine-tuning. So maybe we pick a ram based on a color that we're looking to grow in the flock, or take a good hard look at the fleece photos and data one last time. The 3rd level is the hardest because it means really great rams aren't being used for breeding. We started with a stable of 9 rams, all of whom we really liked, but we were determined to get this number to 3 rams and therefore 3 breeding groups. So the 3 rams we selected were Duncan, Harry, and Sebastian. Duncan is special because he has very good proportions. And we love his very, very fine crimp. We used him for our 2022 lamb crop, and we're really happy with the results there. All these ewes are still on the farm and usually stop by to say hello to me in the mornings when I let them out. You recognize them if you watch our Facebook Live events on Fridays at noon. So that first lamb was Carmen out of Nita. This one is Belinda out of our Mabel. Belinda's extremely friendly. So is Mabel. And little Aida. And this is Minnie and Despina, little twins, cat muggets, out of Eleanor. And little teeny Janet. She's out of Carrie. She was really small, but she's grown. She's really good. Really a nice fleece on this one. And this is Isolde. She's a spotted gray cat mugget out of Susan B. So Duncan is a brown-based spotted cat mugget ram. He's homozygous for color, meaning both his color genes are brown. He's also homozygous for spotting. He is a cat mugget, but he carries the solid gene. And we know he carries the solid gene because we bred him to a cat mugget ewe, Fanny, and they had a solid offspring, Aida. Here she is as a 2-year-old. She always seeks me out for a little attention. She's a happy jumping ewe, and she makes me feel really special that she's so happy to see me. A quick glance at Duncan's pedigree reveals that he has a lot of the genetics that we rely on to get the type of Shetland that we are breeding for. Winter Sky Con and Black Forest, Bond, Thelonious Monk, Solutional, Heights Orion are all lines that go way back and have really contributed to the fine fleece Shetland genetics here in the States. We bred Duncan to 3 ewes this year. All of them had very high scores for fleece yield. Our hope with this group is to get ewes that have the same fleece type, nice and crimpy, with density and minimal tip. Duncan is the sire to 8 ewes in our flock from the 2022 lambing season. All have fleeces that are similar to Duncan's, have nice proportions, and for some reason, most of them are among my most friendly. So here's one of Duncan's really friendly ewes. This is Belinda, and she's out of Mabel. And just always has been very affectionate and friendly. This is Aida. Duncan and Fanny. Here comes Carmen. Hi, honey. There's Salome. Hi, Salome. Hi, honey. This one's out of, oops, Matilda. And here's little Janet. Hi, honey. Oh, my friendly girl. Yes, you are. You're so pretty. Duncan's fleece is so crimpy. It's got a really nice fine crimp. And his fleece is so soft. He's got a spinning fineness of 20 microns. And as an adult, that's pretty remarkable for a Shetland. If you took his fleece, spun it up, and knit it into a sweater, it would feel like a cashmere sweater. That's what we're selecting for in the flock. We want to get as many sheep as possible who retain their fineness all the way into adulthood. Our goal with Duncan is to get ewe lambs that have that really fine crimp but slightly denser fleeces. And this is pretty achievable, so looking forward to seeing what lambs come out of Duncan's breeding. We selected Harry to get a breeding group this year. Harry stands out due to his super fine fleece, and also he is white. Here he is with Sebastian, behaving correctly for the ram at the bottom of the hierarchy. Harry always starts to shed his fleece really early in the winter. We don't coat our rams because we are concerned that they might get caught up in the straps and become vulnerable to attack. Any sign of weakness is a signal to attack with intact rams. Here is footage from when we first put the rams back together after breeding season, before they worked out all the hierarchy and everyone learned their role in the group. Sebastian is establishing his dominance over Harry, and Harry is learning to submit rather than stand his ground. This interaction is very normal for Shetland rams, and we deal with it every time we have to move them or reintroduce them. Even after shearing, they have to reestablish the hierarchy. So imagine if Harry were in this situation and had his leg caught up in the strap, or if Sebastian had a scur tangled up under the neck of Harry's coat. I've said it before, but it bears repeating. When you're caring for livestock, you always need to prevent opportunities for the animals to come into harm's way. as they are really good at figuring out ways to get injured or killed. Thankfully, this trial period only lasted a few hours. Everyone knows their place and are, for the most part, peacefully coexisting on the winter paddock. I say we don't breed for colors or patterns, but we don't have a lot of white sheep, and white is a popular color for hand spinners. So using a white ram is hopefully going to give us a few more white fleeces next year. In a video I made last year, I did a really deep dive on Harry and his genetics. And the reason it's interesting to look at the genetics of a white sheep is that white is a dominant pattern that covers all sorts of traits and is related to color genetics. So it's fun to try to figure out if he's spotted or not, whether he's black or brown based. And then, obviously we know his pattern, but does he carry another pattern like catnugget or solid? The slides here were from that deep dive, and we were able to determine quite a bit about Harry's genetic makeup. But from all that work, I still don't know if Harry is black or brown, or if he's spotted or not spotted. We bred Harry to 2 brown-based ewes this year, Tovia and Ty. So it will be interesting to see if we get a black lamb from this breeding. That will tell us that Harry is a black ram. We'd like to know if Harry is homozygous for spots. We know that he carries spots because he has thrown spotted lambs. So the way we can find out this year if he is spotted is we've bred him to Ty, a spotted ewe. If they throw a non-spotted lamb, then we're going to know that he is non-spotted and carries spots. And we didn't select Ty because we wanted to know what his spotting genetics are. It was really for, the yield on her fleece. But it's not going to hurt to get this information. So we'll be watching Ty's offspring. Like I said, if she is a solid lamb, then we'll know that Harry is not spotted and he carries spots, which means he's heterozygous for spots. Harry has a few Whispering Pines sheep in his pedigree who had extraordinary fleeces, including Pearl, Mr. Darcy, and John Snow, his sire. We bred Harry to Tovia, Ty, Hermione, and Brunhild, 4 ewes with great yields, in the hope of getting lambs with high yields and retaining the superfine fleece that our hand spinners enjoy. This is Lucia, one of Harry's ewes from last year, and her fleece was one of the most exquisite I've felt in a long time. I reviewed her fleece in my 2023 fleece auction video. Here's a clip from that. I selected it. It just feels amazing. Because when I was taking photos of it for the listing, I just was like gobsmacked, just how it feels. It's so soft. It feels like thistledown, that silky. I wrote down, oh my God, so silky, no faults. So she's got a spinning fineness of 16.8. Just a spectacular fleece. .8 spinning fineness. I mean, that's just incredible. So we took Lucia this year and bred her to Sebastian. So this is how it works, right? We've gotten a little bit closer with that really super fine fleece on Lucia, but now we want to click a little bit on her frame. So putting her, well, she's not going to change, but when you put her with Sebastian, that offspring hopefully is going to have that incredibly fine fleece that comes back from Harry, which goes back far in his background, his genetics, and then couple that with Sebastian's frame, and hopefully we'll get a spectacular, super fine, great framed white ram, which has been my quest for, I think, 3 or 4 breeding cycles. Harry's micron data is very impressive. As a 3-year-old, his spinning fineness was 18.6. He has good length and density, and he roos easily, which is a nice trait that he seems to be passing on to his lambs, like Elsina here, who was my model for my Rooing video I made last year. So the goal for Harry is lambs that have high yield fleeces and very fine fleeces. And then a secondary goal is to find out what his genotype is. Sebastian was the third ram we used for breeding this year. He has assumed the dominant position among the 3 rams. And you watch his body language in the pasture, you can see he puts a lot of effort into communicating this dominance. Here he's telling Duncan to get out of his way. He's walking there. He is built very square and solid, so he can lend a hand to the goal of getting the frame we want and more sheep in the flock. Sebastian is a spotted gray catmugget. He has skurs, which confuses people because we typically select for fully polled rams. Sebastian is out of Audi, who was an Itasca daughter. We know Itasca carries horns, so we weren't surprised to see Sebastian sprout the little small skurs. And yeah, that's Duncan there on the right, in the same play area as Sebastian. Sebastian stood out from the roster of rams because of his frame. He had the base requirement of fleece density and fineness, so we decided to give him another run at a larger group than we put him with in 2022. Sebastian's pedigree is not many generations from the great fine fleece Shetlands that were responsible for a lot of foundation flocks in the U.S., including Conn, Black Forest, Bond, Lana, and Silitional. When fine fleece breeders are looking at a pedigree, these are the names that they look for to ensure that they're getting the good genetics that are going to produce the fine fleeces that we love. We gave Sebastian the largest group as we are really excited about how he has developed and really want to pass this strong frame on to more lambs in our flock. Violetta is one ewe from his breeding in 2022, and she is a total knockout. I think she really stands out. Another offspring from 2022 out of Sebastian was Tristan. His frame was impressive even as a lamb, but he got knocked out of the running for a 2024 breeding group, mostly due to his relatedness to others in the flock. Sebastian's fleece is amazing, a glorious silvery gray color, extremely fine and very dense. I grabbed a shot of it when we had them in the close quarters of the Getting to Know Each Other Again crate. So after we break up the groups, they go directly into this small space for a day or two to become reacquainted with no space for horseplay. It works for us. Once they get into a larger space, much of their nonsense is resolved and there isn't as much combativeness. If we had to point out a quality of Sebastian's fleece that we'd like to see improved, it would be that his locks form tips a little soon in the lock, so he has what we call a tippy fleece. And the crimp is a little bolder than we like. This is actually more representative of some of the earlier fine Shetlands here in the States, so it's not a big surprise. All the ewes in his group have fleeces that are exactly the type we are after. Fine, dense, good staple length, and very fine crimp. So the plan is to get as many lambs that have the dam's fleece and their sire's frame. So one goal I have for Sebastian's group is to get a fine fleeced white ram that has Sebastian's frame. And I've got my eye on Lucretia. I love Lucretia's look, so be great to get that white ram out of her, but I have 2 other white ewes that we bred to Sebastian that we're going to be keeping an eye on, again, for that really solid frame, white ram with a super fine fleece. Every year we breed sheep with the goal of improving our flock, and spoiler alert, we never get to perfection, but it's really fun to try. This year is really no different. We've got these goals. We've scaled back the numbers ever so slightly, and that's just because we haven't moved as many sheep off the farm, and we do have a limited capacity in terms of barn space and our ability to take care of them correctly. We should start getting lambs on April 15th, and they'll be spaced out for probably 4 to 6 weeks. We didn't do any of the cedars or the hormone treatments this year like we did last year with the AI, where all the lambs came in like a 3-day window. So it'll be busy, and really excited about the lambs that we're gonna be getting. So for the goals that we've set for each of these breeding groups, really we're gonna have to wait for the full 12 months for these lambs to mature so that we can evaluate their fleece quality, density, length, obviously, and growing into their frames. So we won't know until next year around this time if we've achieved the goals that we've set for this year's breeding. But there are things you can see. So for example, if you recall Sebastian's lamb video, those legs, I mean, that was a good sign. So I mean, there are things you can see that are indicators. So check back, as we have lambs, we'll be talking about, did we achieve our goals? Do we have any more clues about Harry? And I'll be putting all that stuff in upcoming videos. Thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate your continued support of the farm. You can help the farm by liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and sharing the content to your social media feed. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I also hope you can come back soon.